Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and we're back on with the Futaba T26 SZ, which has only just recently been released, and I'm about to answer one of the questions I've been asked the most since publishing my unboxing video just yesterday, and that is, how do you set the image in the bottom right hand corner to be a picture of your model? And to be honest with you, it's rather complicated if you don't know how to do it, and there's quite a few steps even if you do know how to do it. So let's take a look at them now. Let's start off with the close-up as to what we're actually talking about. So with this transmitter, you have the two screens. The top one is just for timers and telemetry, which is a little bit of a shame. I'll talk about that in another video. But on the bottom here, you can actually put a thumbnail icon of your model. There we go, you can see it now. Thumbnail icon of your model down here, which is a nice little feature and it is a gimmick, but a lot of people have been asking me, how do you do that? Because it's not actually that obvious. I don't think it's in the manual either. So that's what we're going to cover today. Before we do though, I'm just going to have a very little rant about it because I've struggled with it, to be honest with you. And I think Futaba have missed a trick here 100%, because here's the process you have to go through. We're going to do it in a minute, but let me just explain it to you first. Firstly, you need a micro SD card. So if you don't have a micro SD card for your transmitter, which you don't need to use it, you need to go and get yourself one. And then you need to put that micro SD card inside your transmitter and turn your transmitter on. And in doing so, it will create the right file structure, folder structure on that card, which makes putting the picture on it a little bit easier, because you'll get a Futaba folder. Within there, you'll get 4 or 5 other folders, including a picture folder. And that's where you need to place your photographs into that folder. Sounds simple? It does so far, doesn't it? Take that card back out, put it into your PC, and then you need to copy your photograph onto that folder. But first, you need to make sure it's the right file size. And by file size, I mean the physical dimensions of it. It has to be 160 wide by 80 in height. That's pixels. And it has to be saved in a BMP format in 24-bit, which is where it starts to get more complicated. That's the only file format Futaba support, and the only file resolution they support as well, which is really, really irritating. You should support JPEG, you should support PNG as well as BMP, and you should resize within the software on the transmitter, in my opinion. But they don't do any of that. So once you've got your your file in the right size, you can then copy it onto that folder, put it back into the transmitter, which, by the way, it's not easy getting the micro SD card in and out of this. Futaba obviously didn't think that people ever want to remove it after putting it back in, but of course you do, because you want to get your pictures on there. I'll show you that in a minute as well. Once it's back in there, you then have to find the right location in the right menu, select it, and it will eventually appear on that screen. It's not easy. I think I've laboured that point already. But let me now show you how to do it. So if you want to do this, follow along for sure. Right, let's get that micro SD card in the transmitter. Okay, so the micro SD card is located underneath. It's in the battery compartment. So take that off and you'll just see there's a slot in here. Now I have one installed, but I'm going to show you how it goes in. So I'm going to try and get this out first go. No, oh, there it goes. It's on a spring switch, so you have to push it, get a bit closer for you. You have to push it in and then it will spring back out by a few millimeters, and then you can get in there and try and pull it out, which is difficult to do. There we go. So the card itself goes in, I'm going to say upside down, so it's not obvious. You want to put it in that way, that's the natural way to put it in, facing upwards, but actually goes in upside down. So if you put that in there and then turn the transmitter on, it will create the folder structure for you, then turn the transmitter back off again and remove it, and you're now ready to put it inside your PC, which is exactly what I'm going to do now. So to put a micro SD card inside your PC, you're probably going to need some sort of adapter, depending on what laptop, PC, Windows, Mac, whatever you're using, you're probably going to need an adapter. Now, there's lots of different adapters out there, but to be honest with you, right now, all I've got is a little USB adapter, because most machines have USB on them still. So I'm just a case of putting this in here, then I'll plug that directly into my PC. Let's do that now. So I have a PC in my workshop. I'm just going to film the screen for you rather than doing any fancy screen capture. So if we go into Explorer, I can now see I've got a D drive there, and I can see this folder structure I was referring to. So this is the memory card that we've just put in, the SD card. So within Futaba, these are the folders it created for you, which is why I suggested putting it in there first. So if you didn't put it in there first, you'd need to create a Futaba, probably in all capitals, and create a picture folder in all capitals as well. And there we go. So that's where we're going to want to get our file in. So I'm going to take this one out. So that's where I was testing earlier on. Let's just remove that very quickly. Then we'll start the process from scratch. Now, if you have your own photo editing software and you know what we're doing from this point forward, that's absolutely fine. For those of you that are new to this and haven't done photo editing before or set Canva size before, I'm going to use a free tool called Canva. It's very, very popular, and I'm logged into it over here. It's free to sign up for, and then there's professional license if you want to do extra things within it. But everything I'm showing you today, you should be able to do with the free version. And it's what I use for a lot of my social media, as you can see. So this is my workspace, and this is the resolution you want, 160 by 80 pixels. You want to create a canvas of that size. I've tried, you can see this over here doing 320 by 160 in other dimensions, and it just simply doesn't work. You won't actually see the picture on the transmitter, it just ignores it. So in Canva, to create 160 by 80 custom size, we click the custom size button in the top right hand corner, and we enter our width, which is 160. And then we tab over and enter the height, which is 80. And that'd be the correct aspect ratio. And now you can just go and drag and drop one of your photographs of your model onto this canvas, and it will upload it to Canva and display it. I've already got a few uploaded. So let's select this one on the right here, which is the bush flying, and then it drops it onto the canvas. Now you want to make it as big as possible on here, because the actual thumbnail on the screen is pretty small, and it's only used in a few places within the operating system on the transmitter. So I suggest making it as big as you can, so it fills up that canvas, fills up that size as much as possible. Now I'm not going to do a full tutorial on Canva, but a very quick tip for you. Now that is the right size, we can just do a quick edit on the image, we can do an adjustment, and we can hit the auto adjust button, and it'll just change the contrast and colors and just make it look a little bit better. If you want to do that yourself, you can mess around with the brightness down the bottom and all these other sliders as well. So with that done, we just now want to export the file. So we do File, Download, and the file format, this is where you want to select BMP, but unfortunately Canva doesn't support BMP. Now I know I've just gone and told you to use Canva, that's because it's super easy to get the canvas size correct, to resize the model, and also to adjust the brightness and contrast. So there's going to be an extra step that we're going to need to do to get it into the BMP in the right format. So I suggest downloading it as JPEG, and make sure the quality is 100%, but leave the size at 160 by 80, otherwise this just will not work. And then go ahead and hit the download button. Then open the folder of where you just downloaded it to. And you can see there's a few from when I was doing this earlier on, so just take those out, save confusion. And there you've gone. So this is the file I've just downloaded. It's currently called Untitled Design because I didn't save it inside Canva. But what I'm going to do is just rename that so I don't get confused. And I'm going to call it Bush Flying. Now just a quick word on file names. Guys, keep your file name simple. Don't use spaces, don't use any special characters, just use numbers and letters without any spaces in there. Because when it's on the transmitter, it's going to truncate this to 8 digits, 8 numbers or 8 letters in total. So it's going to take the first 6, it's going to put a tilde, then the number 1 at the end of it, so on and so forth. It's because the operating system on the Futaba transmitter doesn't support long file names, I presume. So bush flying will get truncated, but that's absolutely fine. So we're currently in JPEG, so the next step we want to do is convert it. So again, go back to the internet, and I'm going to put a link to this tool down below in the description of this video, and also a link to Canva as well for you. And this is the online converter that I've had success with. It's called online-converting.com, and then we're converting to bitmap. Now the reason why I've had success with this, and probably lots of frustration with other ones, is because this color setting here in the middle of the screen. I suspect some of the other ones that don't give this option are either trying to go to 32-bit, 16, or even 8 here. But what we need is 24 true color. Otherwise, again, for my experiments, it just doesn't work, and you just don't get to see the file on the transmitter. So let's convert this file. Let's add image. Let's go to bush flying, hit open, and then it's going to add it to the queue and start converting it. Now give it a few seconds here because it just depends how busy the website is. But if you just wait on this page, you will see that convert text on the right hand side on the status changes to a download link, and there you go. It took about 5-6 seconds. So click the file name to download it, and that will download it back to your downloads folder. And you'll now see that I have two in there. One is a BMP file on the right, and one is a JPEG file. Now I only want the BMP file. So we're going to take the BMP file by clicking and dragging on the file name and dropping it into my picture folder on the memory stick. And that's it. So that should now be, hopefully, the right size and in the right file format, BMP 24, and should display. And it's in the right folder as well on the memory card. If any one of those parameters are wrong, this will not work. Let's right click here and we'll go and eject that memory card. Okay, so now we have the SD card back out of the computer. We need to put it back in the transmitter, make sure it's the right way up, which is the contact on the card facing upwards. It is fiddly, guys, so don't worry if this takes you a minute or two to... Okay, so that's in, and I'm just going to put the battery card back in so the battery doesn't drop out while I'm talking. Okay. Just bring this a bit closer so you can see it. Let's power up. Ignore that warning for the moment. Okay, so now you can see nothing's actually happened, so you need to go and set it in the menu. And that's hidden away in linkage. And it's on page 2. And there's a new picture option. And there we go, we can see the model there. So you can see the name's truncated. Bush FL tilde 1.bmp. There you go. And then to set it, we just click it. And that's it, it's done. Now there's no nice message saying picture set or anything like that. Just go back to the home screen and you'll see it in the bottom right hand corner. Now while I'm here, I may as well show you how to remove it as well, because that's not immediately obvious. Hit linkage, hit page 2, hit picture, hit reset. That's not going to reset the model, it's just going to reset the picture back to blank. No message to tell you it's done so, so just go back and there you go, it's clear. There it is, guys, that is the process for putting the picture on there. Now look, I'm going to have a little bit of a rant here again. I think Futaba have kind of messed up with this because they've made it too complicated and it's just not user friendly. And I would suggest probably 90% of the people that are using these transmitters aren't going to bother. Matter of fact, I might not bother. What they should have done is made it support any file format, or at least PNG, JPEG and bitmap, and they should have allowed you to have a bigger file and actually do the conversion on the transmitter. Now, I'm sure there's enough compute power on this transmitter to convert a file. Obviously, a load more software to do that. It might be some licensing complications as well, but it's Futaba. Other people do it, they could do it. To be really honest with you, the trick they are missing, and possibly other manufacturers are missing, are to make this process completely foolproof and super simple, and that would be to add a camera to the transmitter. If you think about it nowadays, people are used to using devices that are very intelligent. Look at smartphones, look at tablet devices and computers. They're very, very sophisticated now, and it's all about user experience and making it simple. So my advice for Futaba is to put a little tiny camera on the back here, so people can just hold this up, point it at their model, press a button, it takes the picture and sets it straight away. Almost like one tap and you're done. And if it's not quite right, they can just adjust it, do it again. If you did that, people would use this feature all the time. And then my other bit of advice is to use this icon, use this thumbnail in other parts of the software as well, where appropriate. So just a little bit of feedback there. I do like the fact you can put a model on there. It's just a nice visual representation of what model you've got selected. But I just don't like faffing around with trying to get that very awkward memory card in there. It's almost like it's an afterthought. I mean, why put the memory card underneath the battery tray, really up against the edge to make it super difficult to get to? Why not have it more accessible on the top, which I think they have in another transmitter. I think the 26SZ's got it in top, but it's not that accessible because it's very difficult to get to. I don't know, or maybe have it done over wireless. Wouldn't it be cool if they had some sort of smartphone app where you could just click it and do it? That's a lot more work, but you know, you can imagine that. That's the kind of direction we need this stuff going in. Now, you guys may disagree, you may think it's too complicated, But as technology is evolving, we're expecting more features. Now, I will just say that I think probably one of the issues is the underlying operating system on the Futaba. I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but I'm imagining it's quite old. And the fact that it truncates file names down to 8 characters, and you can see that as well. If you save all your models and you've got long model names, which you can do, when you go and look on the files on the SD card, when you export them out, they're all 8 characters long. So something a bit odd there. But anyway, guys, I hope that's been useful to somebody. That's how you set the picture of your model onto the transmitter. I feel like I've just been ranting for this entire video, but hopefully there's been a few tips in there and someone does actually follow it and get it working. Guys, I'll see you next time round.